that information. Somebody needs to draw a new solution for you. We're going to give you examples. So you can already go online to nationalfirescapeassociation.org and find these documents there already. These videos are already on there. Again, it's still under construction. We're looking at April as the start date when it all gets legal and the IRS knows we exist and all those things, right? But if it's not done in April, please be patient with us. But the information is there, and we have a disclaimer that says this is under construction. That it is our intention to get every one of you to be a member because it's free for you to be a member. And that just opens you up to ask any questions from us, get any information, and we already do that now. And we're not even the National Firescape Association. We do this to build a rapport nationwide as one of the premier firescape companies out there. So we'll show you how things should be drawn, whether it's a ladder, a spiral, or a catwalk. Give some examples of it. Confidence and inspection test. How great is it that not only did the firescape get inspected by a structural engineer, but he took a $2 can from Home Depot and sprayed every violation and made it idiot-proof. Otherwise, how far can a guy who's local guy, never touched a firescape before, gets one sheet of paper that says, fix the firescape? What's he gonna fix? But if he has the yellow, red, or white, is it pretty clear what needs to be fixed? And with a permit, all repairs must be done under a permit. And why? Because it's broken. If things are broken, do they need a permit? Engineer oversight? So even if somebody all of a sudden shows up with a permit or a certificate in front of you, can you back into this thing and go get your permits and go get the structural engineer? So somebody tomorrow hands you from the local hotel that had a firescape in the back a certificate from a structural engineer who basically revamped the whole interior, and he hands you a certificate or one of his papers to say the firescape is structurally sound and has been kept painted. Can you walk backwards through that thing and make him fill out a confidence test? Can you walk backwards and make the ironwork or whoever did the repair work there pull a permit? Late, but still pull a permit. Can you just keep walking backwards? Because otherwise, what does this guy still have to give you, even though he just handed you today a certificate, piece of paper on his letterhead that says the firescape is structurally sound and has been kept painted to an opinion letter. To the best, and this is the way it's written in, to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, and opinion, this firescape is structurally sound and has been kept painted. Do you accept those letters ever in the state of New Hampshire? You will order what? You will remind that gentleman that you say, thank you very much for the letter, but what I would like is of 7.2, 0.8, 0.6, 0.2, the firescape, you show me that the firescape has been load tested. Is this what this document is? No? Okay. Then, or other satisfactory evidence to have adequate strength. So, you're handing me an opinion letter, and that's not adequate evidence or satisfactory evidence. Can you show me, can we go down there and look at the thing, get any photographs to show me? Did you remove all the original hardware, which on that hotel was built in 1902? Have you removed all the square head bolts out of that thing? No. We repaired the rust. Oh, so you did some spot repairing. That's good, because you're still on the load test part. So 100% of the rust is removed. Let me make you fill out one of my confidence tests along with this letter. And what about the tiebacks into the building? Have you verified those, or have you duplicated those? This guy's going to give you the puzzled look, like, what are you talking exactly? Right now we're still on load test, but I think we can get beyond the load test if we can either show that you fully refurbished the firescape, if that's the case. Otherwise, if you spot repaired it, we're still at load test. So let's go back and look at that. The rest of the building is open, everybody can get on it, and everything's cool, but we need to address the situation immediately, because right now, I'm a little confused about whether or not the tenants and my firemen are going to be safe on that firescape. I'm not sure. And as the code says right here, you haven't satisfied me. So let's take another peek at this thing. Okay? So, with that being said, and Gary's here just going to record, we did a quick interview at the beginning of this, and we had Scott and Ken. And I asked them, what do you know about firescapes? Minimal, at best. We have some ideas, and now you guys are part of the second part of the interview, and that is, now what do you know? It's been about 2.5 hours.
A lot more. Yeah.
Very difficult to learn? Or was actually, you already knew all this stuff? Because I tell people a lot of times, you already knew all this stuff. You just didn't know that you had this as a power that you have And, because it's just common sense. Did I teach you any technical thing that only NASA scientists understand? So a lot of the stuff you already knew. You were relying on certain people to do it for you, and that was these structural engineers who have been doing what with these fire escapes? Really looking at them with a critical examination, or just giving you an opinion letter? Because I'll tell you, it's an easy drive-by money. $300 to $500, I don't even get out of my car, I just roll down the window, look up, it ain't falling, write a letter. Because that opinion letter, can I get sued on an opinion letter? To the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, and opinion, the fire escape is structurally sound and has been kept painted. Can I get sued? On an opinion. Because did you order me to load test it or do a critical examination? So if you, as a city, accept an opinion letter, who's taking on the liability? The city is. So you want any more liability for your city? So to eliminate the liability, you give me a load test, or you give me other satisfactory evidence, and we're here. So with that being said, a lot of this information, how hard is this to pass on to other people? Or how difficult is this to learn and understand that you got cities that are 100, 200, 300 years old, and these things are there, and they're not going away. Scott, do you have any insights that you want to throw out here that's going to make you change that when you get back to your city tomorrow? And do you have anything you'd like to share with the class? That's,
well, luckily, most everybody knows that Brookline's a small town. I mean, we've got a couple of those.
So you have no sympathy for Ken then?
Well, I have sympathy for Cindy and Mark and Ken, yes. I mean, I know.
What cities?
Nashua is short-handed to begin with.
Yeah.
And then you look at this, and then you start talking about fire escapes, and okay, it's supposed to be inspected, and the workload that those guys have, it's like, yeah.
So maybe what you want to do as a possibility is look for somebody to come in and basically do an awareness program in your city and put it out for engineers and an outside firm to come in and walk all your city and identify as many fire escapes as possible in a identification program only, to identify all these and say, I have counted and did a grid pattern thing in every alleyway. I've identified 2,372 fire escapes and have left tags there. And then is that forcing an inspection program of any kind? No? Then all these got tags. So you may want to have your city look at, because you are on the staff, to say, hey, we need to identify every one of these because we'll let people voluntarily let us know about their fire escape, that they have one and they'd like to have an inspection scheduled. Or we will, after 30, 60, 90 days of this awareness through Channel 3, the local cable access thing, that the city's going to hire a company to come in and basically just walk the streets and identify all these by street address. And you've done that with other programs to basically identify certain things on certain buildings to help you guys get it all under control. So this may be that now you can get it under control, but you may need to hire outside, identify them, and then now hit the reds, get onto the yellows, leave the whites. You know what I'm saying? And this is a 3 to 5 year program. Right. It's just an awareness, a constant awareness.
And the big word that you're mentioning is hiring. Well, as we all know, the economy and everything like that is very lousy. The only way that, another way that could get funded would be through a grant program, maybe through, we come in to like a, say, fire prevention program. Okay, well, now we're going to go around looking at everybody's fire escapes, maybe somebody could get a grant for that. But.
Yeah. Well, if anybody knows how to get those grants, that's why we started the National Fire Escape Association, is just for that. Because there's grants out there, but they need somebody that's a nonprofit organization to do such things, because everybody in the entire country is understaffed. But we still have fire escapes that this is your second one of egress. So this is, it's got to be dealt with. It's like, it's there, So do you have any insights that you want to share with the class? Because you came in, we interviewed at the very top, and, you were, I believe, Concord? Yeah.
No, I found it very informative. Definitely brought a lot of things to our attention as far as, how to identify, some of the blatant, obvious.
Right, the reds.
Discrepancy. Yeah, the reds.
Let's get those reds done right away.
And, something that needs to be attended to, I'm sure.
Do you feel that if we start the checklist process, that will start the ball rolling? So aside from getting a grant, which could take 1 to 3 years, as soon as you put it on the checklist, that says,
That's,
the smoke detector guys now have one more line on their checklist, and that's just another re-photocopying of an existing list that include this new list that says, if you're checking out the smokes and the fire escape is internal, you're done, but if it's external, you just need to say, did they give you a copy or no copy? No copy, it's an automatic request for one from the fire official. The building official side of it, which is any permit that's going on in any building, believe me, there's money being spent. So now it's not a problem of money, it's now have we touched this? So that's another one. We'll work with you in the guidelines and procedures and the departmental procedures guides, which is basically you kind of write in code a little bit, right? You're kind of saying, hey, we want this to be done, and we want to sort of follow some national models, and you should have tags in your fire escapes. You should use the confidence test as per the national model, and you should follow these guidelines when you're inspecting it, when you're repairing it, and when you're painting it. And all this is information available online and free, which is under the National Fire Escape Association. So just like you kind of touch the NFPA every now and then, the NFEA is where we're starting to deal with this information, because should I just hide this information in my basement and want to let a few people know? Or do you think if once you get this class and other classes, can you guys forward this to a national, the state level, and have the state level send this out to everybody? Because not everybody's going to be able to get in the class. Or maybe another class should be scheduled in the next 3-6 months, where basically, I don't know if you have a state meeting or a meeting where everybody comes in. I don't know if this was the state meeting, but if you have one of these major meetings that once a year, basically everybody has to attend, this should be one of the classes that we have. And now have a room forced with people that are going to be taking this class because they were here for other reasons anyway. But we get them into one of these classes. Otherwise, this video emailed to you and then blasting it out forward to all the lists that you have and the associations you know, doesn't mean it's going to get watched though, but it may help raise the awareness by one or more people. Does anybody have any questions on anything that you've seen so far? Because a lot of times, questions are few and far between, because a lot of this is so brand new, you're like, it's hard to question something you just learned today, but does anybody have any insights that they want to throw? And whether it be Nashua, Concord, your city, Portsmouth, Manchester, no city's too big, no city's too small, but we do come out, and whenever possible, we do come out with you and do what's called a downtown walk around. We love them because it just adds to our library, and it basically 2 to 4 hours. We come in, we walk alleyways.
What's the charge for that?
It's free. I do ask for a cup of coffee and a donut from a very reputable shop. And usually, if you're good about it, you can always jump a cop on a donut run, and we get it that way. We have several ways, but we don't charge. It's through again the National Fire Escape Association. We're in your area. We can't always make everything happen, but if we can schedule it long enough, we go out. And I do this in Seattle, but we also there's a lot of work out there, but there's too much work for one guy. So if you guys didn't know that engineers charge 75 to 175, you think I'm the only guy in town that can do this correctly? No. I'm just trying to get the bar to be set correctly so that nobody will ever have an excuse to say, we don't like fire escape engineers. You say, great, I don't like them either. So how come you're not using Jack Malone down the street, who's a structural engineer, and he's $75 an hour? Oh, you need the answers to all their excuses. How come you haven't repaired your fire escape? Oh, the price I got for the thing was crazy. Well, then why aren't you using Bob's welding down the street? Bob is sitting in a shop all day long, and he works. His truck in 3 men is $125 an hour, dude. We know what to do. You got all the guidelines. You got all the repair guidelines. This is nut and bolt technology. I mean, you don't want to do it, or what's your excuse? Oh, you're forcing me into a load test. No, I'm not. You load test it because you don't want to refurbish it, but if you refurbish it, there's no load test. Oh, the structural engineer sent you a beautiful letter. Why didn't you take it? Because he sent me an opinion letter. It's a letter that has an escape clause that puts the city and you with all the liability. And I told him, thank you for the letter, now let's go load test it. He goes, no, my letter's sufficient. I said, no, when did you start writing code, Mr. Engineer? 7.2, point this, point that, and you got so many points. What the hell? Why is there so many points on this stupid thing?
Just down the street from your house, go ask.
I know. Like, what the? But it says right here, I have to be satisfied, and I don't want a load test. A load test is a waste of money. Doesn't buy any bolts, doesn't buy any paint. Use that money, because a typical 5-story fire escape is gonna start at $5,000 for load testing. Start. Use that money toward bolts and paint. And last question, can an owner self-repair a fire escape if he has the will and the skill to do so? With engineer oversight. He doesn't sign off on it. Can an owner, with a residential property, staircase, coming out of the 3rd floor, nuts and bolts technology, can he change his own bolts, remove the rust, engineer oversight? Can he fix the fire escape and have the engineer come in and certify that upon completion that he did as good a job as any licensed mechanic? So can people, to a certain degree, self-fix their fire escape, primarily in residential applications? You gotta find the answer is yes. It's just nuts and bolts technology.
Well, you don't have to have, I don't know if you have to have a license.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just putting that out there to help you. The key word here is engineer oversight. Who's giving you the document? So do you want the guy fixing it by himself and then calling in an engineer? Will that satisfy you? So the first step, when an owner says, look, dude, I don't have any money, I gotta fix it myself. I say, great. Hire this engineer to basically babysit you through the repair process. It's a small fire escape. You're gonna have 3 visits. There's an initial visit for him to tell you what to do. There's a mid-visit where he's gonna spot check you in the middle to see how things are going along. And then there's a final visit that he says, yeah, you did it right. Because he's then gonna sign the certificate for me that says, he watched you do it right, and that way it'll avoid the load test. So in certain conditions, can a owner self-fix a fire escape? Yes. Can commercial investment banker people fix their own fire escape? That's when you need the professionals to step in and do that. Because then they'll have Harry, the helper, maintenance guy, kind of. But everything is always tied back to engineer oversight. Every fire escape you're going to touch that you say the word load test or satisfy me involves who? The owner and a vendor, or the owner and a structural engineer? So every fire escape you are ever going to touch now, who is the main contact with you that's either going to load test it for you or repair it for you? The engineer. He will have full control of this. And who's the only one that can give you the guarantee? The engineer. So as soon as you say the word load test, guess who's going to knock on your door and give you a call? Sometime in the near future. An engineer. Not Bob the welder, not Joe the painter, not Henry the owner. Okay? Well, a few minutes over. Questions? All this got videotape, guys, in various directions, and we'll put this online. Usually within 1 to 3 weeks, the backs of your heads are all going to be on the internet, and I'll send you the links to that, so you guys can review it at your leisure, pass it on to friends and family in other states. So if you guys have connections in Maine, in Vermont, please forward those on. I'm always looking for associations and other academies. I teach nationwide in a lot of these academies, and it's always an excuse to get away from my wife and head to a place where she never wants to visit, like sunshine only. And so if any of you know anybody in Alaska or Hawaii, but I haven't been to Alaska or Hawaii, but everywhere else in this country I have been, and the harbors out there, same thing here. So thank you very much for the class. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be around for another 20 minutes, half hour. I may go into the back, because we're going to take a few shots of some of your buildings here to be part of your set. I'm going to go to that, wherever that tower is. Is it a 3-foot tower? I mean, 3-story tower, 5-story tower? That has the fire escape?
2 and 5.
There's actually 2 with fire escapes on it?
Well, it's a 2-story section and a 5-story.
And it's readily available? We can just walk right up to it and see it? If you like, I'm going to take my camera out with me. I'm just going to put on my jacket, leave all my stuff here. I'm just going to go walk out there and look at it. If anybody wants to take a peek with me.
You might want to check the file with the building.
The access to it, the gate's gated.
Yeah.
Okay. Is anybody going to see Bob all the way out?
I mean, you check it.
No, I know. If if anybody's gonna see Bob, because I'm just gonna start wrapping it up though, because if it is locked, I'm just gonna start wrapping it up. And if anybody sees Bob and says, Bob, if we can go to the tower, then you guys, somebody can just come back in and I'll gladly walk out with one or all of you.
Most likely, the gate's open.
Yeah. You guys wanna take a chance and just walk out there and do a spot check? If anybody feels brave, or you guys have had enough fire escape activities today? Oh, you all done? All right, I will have with Bob afterwards, I'll probably take a peek out there, and if, hopefully I won't shut down the tower with broken treads. And if you have your cards, thank you for reminding me, if anybody has your cards, in order for me to get stuff to you, I need your cards, and I've already given you my card in case you want information.
But,
Yeah, info, it's info at Farscape Services, and then I'll be getting you all the kind of